what you eat every single day in your endeavors to get absolutely shredded matters a lot, right? But also what matters a lot is how you time them foods to get the best possible result from your energy. I've just went from 27% body fat to 10% body fat, and it was pretty straightforward. Yeah, I was a little bit flat performance-wise for the last 2 or 3 weeks. However, for 99% of that journey, I was able to gain strength. Now think about that for a second. My performance stayed high. This matters in keeping your performances high. I was able to maintain muscle. I was able to gain muscle while losing fat. Most people that have body recomposition goals, especially grapplers, do so in the most crazy ways I've ever heard in my life. Fasting, keto, paleo, salads galore, no carbs. It's embarrassing, and it massively tanks your performance. And if you haven't got performance, what the hell's the point? Because you're not going to build muscle, you're not going to look any good at the end of it, you're just going to be less on the scales. And you're not going to have any of the decent performances to show for it. There's a way you can keep performance high and get shredded. I've got other videos on this as well. But this is just talking about the 6 foods that you need to eat every single day to get absolutely shredded. Hopefully you appreciate it. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about the 6 foods, why they work so well, and how to best slot them into certain parts of your day to get the best ROI. My own example on that as well, to bring it to life. For those that are new to the channel, my name is Paul Green. I'm a former British paratrooper and Special Forces Support Group operator. I have trained elite soldiers when I was in the gym, in the parachute regiment, Marines, RAF, and now I coach grapplers online through my longevity program, which is my online coaching service. I'm also a purple belt myself, and I've got 7 years of grappling experience. So there's some of the results we've got, some of the different injuries that I've worked with, and that's all great stuff. But we're talking specifically about food today. Make myself a little bit bigger. You'll know people in the gym, people on the mats that have done this. And they've give up after doing this for a month. They've give up after a month, or they give up after 2 months. It's laughable. This is the cardinal sin of everything. You cannot have high performance without carbohydrates. The moment you take carbohydrates out, you are literally a fucking absolute disaster on the mat and off the mat in weight as well. Think about it, right? In order to build muscle, you need to train fucking really hard. In order to build strength, you need to train really fucking hard. You cannot train really fucking hard if you do not have great energy. So this is the worst thing I've ever seen, and this is the most common thing that I ever see with people that are trying to lose weight. The problem is they can't stick to it for very long because they're absolutely demoralized by their energy levels. You don't want less energy, you just want to lose less, you just want less fat. Who doesn't want, nobody wants less energy. However, there is a point where this actually starts to come into it a tiny little bit, and that's right at the very end. Not at the fucking start, you lunatics. Another one, intermittent fasting, like, I don't know, starving yourself for 16 hours a day and then, eating only in an 8-hour window. This might actually work if most of your physical output is in an 8-hour window. For somebody like me, this actually works pretty well. But for other people that don't have output requirements, that have output requirements that are longer than 8 hours, then it's absolutely terrible idea. So another thing, eating loads of salads and stuff that they genuinely don't like. Keto is another one, high fat, high protein. Right, protein is the biggest load of shit in the fitness industry. Like, people eat too much protein. It's like the only way you build muscle is by training ridiculously hard in the gym, in the weights room. There's a huge emphasis on eating protein to build protein. You cannot build muscle without carbohydrates. Protein is, alright, you need some protein to repair and regenerate muscle fibers. Great. You don't get that with a shitty performance eating a shitty diet like this. Weasel behaviour. Right. Yeah, and obviously the time limits on all of these things are abysmal. So you don't get much results. You might lose a stone, max. And then you're having a meltdown into a bowl of cheesecake. Because you're doing it wrong, you're making it too hard for yourself. It should be almost effortless at the start. And I say, I've got experience of this myself, and I've got experience with my clients that are literally saying, mate, I'm eating so much food. This is fucking amazing. I feel great. You should, if you get this right, you should feel amazing within the first few days. If you're not, you need to make a change straight away. It's simple as that. Your energy levels, how satiated you are throughout the day should be like almost instantaneous how quickly you get that feedback. Number 1, whole eggs. Eggs are absolute gold dust. You don't need to fucking have egg whites or anything like that. You can literally just have whole eggs. And you can start your minor calorie deficit, in having eggs however you want, fried, scrambled. But as you start to progress in your deficit, you want the meal to satiate you the most. And from experience, boiled eggs fill me up a little bit more than scrambled eggs. Oh no, considerably more than scrambled eggs. So I use that to my advantage. Do you know what I mean? So for the start, for the first few weeks, few months, I'll have scrambled eggs, and then I'll tweak it towards the end to boiled eggs when I really want to be satisfied for the most amount of time. With whole eggs, because they are high in protein, high in fat, having them far away from your training sessions is a very good idea because they take a long time to digest. They're not going to provide you any value before a training session. After a training session, you could argue, yeah, absolutely. But before a training session, pointless. Like, absolutely pointless. It's not going to provide you with any value. If anything, it's going to interfere negatively to your performance on the mats and in the weight room. I obviously pair this very regularly with beef because it's just fucking epic. Catabolic, testosterone building fucking meal. Great. Who doesn't want to eat them foods every day? And that is literally the golden rule. Every man wants to eat whole eggs every day. Every man wants to eat beef every day, which leads me on to the next one. Beef. Nutrient dense, complete protein, exactly the same as whole eggs. Ground beef. Doesn't have to be a steak, doesn't have to be anything fancy. Ground beef takes 5 minutes to cook. It needs to be very little effort for you to prepare. And not only prepare, do the dishes. All of the little annoying things that your day needs to have in it in order for you to eat these 6 things every single day, there needs to be barely any friction, right? So, we've got eggs. You put it in a pan of water. You let it come to a boil. As soon as it starts coming to a boil, you start a stopwatch. When the stopwatch hits 10 minutes, you take the eggs off, put them in some cold water and start peeling the eggs. How easy was that? Like beef, seasoning. Do you know what I mean? At the start of your deficit, you can absolutely, have a higher fat cut of beef. But then, as the deficit progresses and your results start to plateau, you're going to have to start making it lean ground beef. I'm eating lean ground beef now, and it's great. It just means that as my calories begin to increase slightly, I can just have a bigger portion. Like, think about it, right? Would you rather have more beef or a more fatty version of that and have less? Do you know what I mean? These are the things that you can think about. So, easy to cook. And it's just pure brain food. Like, I'm having beef and eggs every day, whether I'm on a meal plan, whether I've got a physical goal or not. And this is what the mindset you need to have. These are the foods that I want to eat every day because they make me feel and perform amazingly. It shouldn't feel like a diet, a temporary thing. Do you know what I mean? Just literally cook in the easiest way possible and get the nutrients into your body as easily as possible. It shouldn't be effort. Effort creates friction. Friction times 7 times the day, times that by 4 a month, you're already in tatters by the end of the month. If you're in tatters at the end of the month, you're doing it wrong. Next one, mixed berries. Preferably organic as well, because berries have a tendency to be very spongy in their like biology. They can absorb a lot of chemicals, and these fuckers, big food and all that, they're spraying all sorts of shit on your food. So I pay a lot of money for organic berries because I value just how much berries brings into my life, because they are so nutrient dense and they're so low in calories, but they're also very high in fibre. So they provide me with another hour or two of just being full and being satiated and not being hungry for all of them nutrients and full, barely any calories. It's like the ultimate thing you could ever eat. So yeah, a fantastic ROI, arguably the best ROI you could probably add to your day is organic, and probably blueberries as well. But I'm having mixed berries at the moment. I'm having strawberries and blackberries, keeping it fresh. Next one, mixed vegetables. Same reasons for the mixed berries. Don't be overly regimented. It doesn't have to be just broccoli. Just chop all this veg up. Lettuce, spinach, broccoli, carrots, cucumber, tomatoes, and just chop it up. Just throw it into a box. Mix it up a little bit. Don't worry about it. A couple of handfuls of that on your food. Again, it adds volume. And what you're getting is volume. You're getting a visual. I'm looking at this meal and thinking, that's a fucking absolute mountain of food, this. You're getting micronutrients, a lot of bang, a lot of nutrients, barely any calories. So when you're hungry and you're sat there with a fucking mountain of food, you're absolutely over the moon. You're over the moon with the situation. You're getting shredded, but your food pile is massive. As a man, that's a fucking very, very good place to be. Rather than somebody who's fucking eating keto diet and shit on the mats. Miserable. So I'm not going to lie. I prefer to eat it raw. I'll just chop veg up in a small amount and just eat it raw. It's in a big bowl, in a big plastic container in the fridge. It takes a little bit longer to eat. I don't care. I don't think it's much more enjoyable to cook. And I just think, well, if it's not that much more enjoyable to cook, then I'm just not gonna waste my time cooking something that I can just have raw, like a salad. So basically, I'm just chopping up mixed veg and fruit or whatever you want, throwing it in it. Yeah, as I say, cooking it, not really bothered, whatever, right? Sorted. Next one. These last two are the most important because these two are the most commonly neglected. The first thing that people are doing, the first thing that grapplers are doing when they want to cut weight is reducing carbohydrates. So instantly, in their head, they are reducing performance instantly. So what else do? They increase output. So they reduce performance and then they increase output. They'll be training every day at this point, but they've just reduced their main energy source. Performance, bam, in the bin. Oats. Decent amount of fibre, fuels hard training sessions throughout most of the entirety of the training session because it's slow digesting. So good, right? Medium GI, high in fibre. It's not ridiculously fast acting. It's not ridiculously slow. It's bang in the middle. And, having it 90 minutes to 2 hours before your training session is going to be absolutely class. Mixing it with all your fruit as well, just to pack it out and be a banging meal that you just love eating. Another thing, don't mix it with milk. So it's a very English thing to have oats with milk. Oats slow down digestion. Milk slows down digestion and gives you about an extra 150 calories to your meal. Taking that out could put you in that minor deficit, which was all that was needed to help you lose weight in a really effective manner. The way I view this is there is two benefits to not having milk. Benefit number one is I get less calories, so arguably I could put more oats into the meal for the sake of having milk. You don't need milk because when you actually have it with water, it's faster digesting. It digests a little bit better because milk coats the intestinal tracts and reduces the amount of reduces the output of your intestinal tracts when they're sucking out all the nutrients from these berries and everything. So I actually want to absorb all of this meal in its entirety. You're not going to do that with milk because milk again affects digestion. So I don't know, have milk at a different point of the day if you need to have it. Yeah, without oats, it's my pre-gym training session. So like it says there, before you train, before lifting. Or you don't need to have oats before Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is an aerobic sport, predominantly oxygen as energy. Don't really need much carbohydrates. If it's a thinking sport and if you're a more methodical problem-solving type of grappler, you don't need carbohydrates. If you're a crazy beginner that is constantly like raw, you probably need some carbohydrates before you train. And listen, I've just been in a deficit for like 5 months, right? And without oats, it'd have been fucking miserable. Without any of these foods, it'd be miserable. Last one, rice. Preferably white. White digests a little bit better than brown, but it doesn't matter too much. For some reason, I'm really enjoying brown at the moment. It's very hard in Brazil to get decent rice, but I found a brown one that I actually really like. So I'm sticking with brown for the time being rather than experiment. And I've tried about fucking 7 different brands of white. Anyway, easy to digest carbohydrates. The reason easy to digest matters is because you need to avoid stuff that kind of creates bloatedness, gas, energy up and down, blah, 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 blah. Like you're in a carbohydrate rat race by eating stuff that's hard to digest, right? Bread, croissants, all of that shit, pastries. It's just carnage, right? The foundation of your carbohydrates needs to be bulletproof. Like it needs to be fucking very high quality. Rice, oats, whole foods, right? Good amount of fiber, because when you start stripping stuff down, and I'll give you an example of this, right? Deficit for 5 months. But when I get to 10% body fat, I then do a kind of like a fasted training session. Nothing but a banana. Do some training, get some photos, great. Very flat, right? My muscles are depleted of glycogen. The next day, or a couple of days later, I then have a refeed day where I eat ultra processed carbohydrates. Bread, jam, rice cakes, honey, banana, like just fucking get the glucose and get the glycogen in my muscles. All that day, even though I had loads more carbohydrates than I normally would eat, that whole day I was fucking starving because the quality of the carbohydrates was fucking terrible. It was far away from its whole food variation. It was bread. I had about 4 or 5 jam sandwiches that day. These are all foods that you would choose to typically eat, like cakes and biscuits. But they're the ones that spike blood sugar, bang. As soon as the blood sugar comes back down, you get the feeling of hunger because it's the survival brain kicking in, thinking, I'm going to die, I'm never going to get fed again. Oh my God, what am I going to do, what am I going to do? Fuck him off. Logic over emotion, right? Talked about this. Great for energy replenishment. You never feel bad when you've ate rice. Another golden nugget as well. Let's see what another golden nugget, which we can talk about, is that, and I can't get away with this, but I'm just going to offer it to you as personally maybe a good option for you. If you get into the mentality of thinking, right, volume matters because volume gives you that visual representation. I'm eating a mountain of food, this is great, I'm going to stick to this for fucking ages, get the best results, get absolutely shredded, like me. But fibre matters, right? Sweet potatoes provide more fibre than rice, but they also provide more volume than rice as well. So you can potentially have sweet potatoes, but I can't really get away with sweet potatoes. It gives me a bad belly. So this is what I'm saying. You need to pick carbohydrate choices that you fucking love eating, that are fucking good for your digestion. You can digest really well without getting bloated, without having gas. Because the best supplement you could ever take is good quality carbohydrates. Without carbohydrates, performance is gone. Yeah, without carbs, you're just making yourself skinny. I swear to God, you cannot build muscle without carbohydrates. Nail the carbs. Gentlemen, this is exactly what I build out for the guys on the program. We do the character and mindset stuff before we even get into that. But fundamentally, establishing 10 key foods that you as an individual absolutely fucking love eating. If you don't like white fish, I'm not going to tell you to eat white fish. Making sure these 10 foods you fucking absolutely love eating. My meal plan now is probably about 12 ingredients every day, but I love eating every single meal. And I feel great after it. I feel like I can perform after every meal. So then when you build up that habit of, oh my God, this is fucking great, where you start to become way less appealed and distracted by the niceties in the cafes, the coffee shops, the cakes. The cakes are great. Listen, I would love to have one of those cakes, but I would rather have a fucking bowl of oats with loads of fruit in it because it's going to make me feel amazing for about 4 hours. It's you know what I mean? When you build up a system that you can consistently stick to because it's easy and you get an instant feedback on how much energy you've got on training sessions and how good you feel off the mats, you're doing it right. And we do it right on the longevity program. The link is in the description if you are interested in being coached by me on a one-to-one basis.